What's going on, everybody, man? It's Musically Intelligent here with you. You know, we always here to give our artist game. If you don't know about us, I want to be able to kind of get into that just a little bit. One of the things that we do, we like to develop artists. We like to walk them through their process of just growth and just trying to figure it out. Because one of the things that we realize is that everybody got a different way that they feel like works, or they feel like something, they feel like one particular way could be better than another, which could be true in some cases. But I think that a lot of the times that we forget when it comes to music, we forget that music is art, right? And because music is art, we have to understand that when it comes to art, people gravitate to art in a lot of different ways. Gravitating to art isn't just about pushing out a bunch of content all the time. A lot of the times the art should be able to sell itself, you know? I think that with us transitioning to the digital era, though, we have to understand that everything now is about attention. It's about keeping people attention. It just seems like we're getting a little bit further and further and further away from the art itself. But I do understand that with the times changing, you have to be able to adapt and change as well. That's just been within all living beings' DNA, within their code since the beginning of time, is that you have to adapt with the adjusting world around you. So what I can do is I can give some tips. I can give information, knowledge that I have that I typically give the artists to help them have an understanding of how they can really monetize the attention that they do get. I think that's a part that typically gets overlooked, is like the monetization aspect of it. But yeah, we just want to make sure that access to monetizing your music is there for everybody, you know. So that's one of the things we want to do. Independent artists, upcoming artists. Hey, if you're a little kid in your living room making music, I feel like you should be able to get paid for your content, especially if you have people that tune in and watch and see what you do. So here are some things that you can take advantage of in order to better get yourself seen. Nothing is a one-way street. There's not one way just to do something. Someone else may disagree. I'm completely fine with that. If you have something that you do that you feel like works really well, feel free to share that with the rest of the community, because that's what it's about with us. It's about community. So just tap in down below in the comments. You know, you can message me directly, email me, whatever. But yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it. Of course, I'm not going to read everything word for word on this thing. I'm going to break it down to you in as simple terms as I can as possible. I don't want to make this just like something boring and, you know, long and drawn out. So one of the first things that we have right now is that's super important is locating your audience. It's super important to locate your audience. And when we say locate your audience, it doesn't mean just figure out where people are that listen to your music. Like, it's not just about that, right? We need more detailed information about audiences, right? Because the more detailed information that we have, the better we will be able to make better decisions. Like, that's just what it is, you know? If you have, let's say we have people in Nebraska and we have over 5,000 people tuning in on a consistent basis in Nebraska, I think common sense would tell us, let's go to Nebraska where we have a actual following and fan base, people who actually support us, versus going, I don't know, Boston, where we have no listeners or no type of support. So I think that's just super important. It's just grasping and understanding that. Locating your audience, it has to do with the age, understanding the age, understanding people's habits. It's about understanding male, female, what device they're streaming your music on. Some people may stream on desktop versus streaming on the phone. You do what you want with this information. That's the whole thing, is for you to get creative. You have an information basis or a data hub to start with. That's what this is about, having data to start with. You do what you want with that data, you know, but you have to have something to start with, you know. Otherwise, you're just releasing music and we're just hoping that one day the right people hear this. But when you think about it, the world does not actually work like that. Everybody is data oriented. If someone come to you and they tell you, hey, I need $100,000 right now, I know you got the money, I need $100,000. It's like, okay, cool, you need $100,000. But versus somebody who just came to me last week and asked me for $100,000, they had a game plan and they had data to back up that this project or whatever this is will actually work. People are interested in the facts. You got to give people facts to go off of. You can't tell a promoter to book you for $5,000 and you have no facts to even prove that you have some form of an audience in this specific area. So this is super important. Do what you want with that information. People do different things with the information. And some people, feel encouraged to also go above and beyond as well. I think that's a super big thing when it comes to collecting data. Just figuring out what it is that your supporters tap into with the most, because if you can kind of find some connection, you can kind of be able to play on that connection, right? So if I find out that most of the people that listen to my music, they also listen to upcoming jazz artist, that may be the tell that I need to work with some jazz artists, and kind of hone in on my audience a bit more. And you can get more creative, maybe perform at a jazz festival or go places where more people that tune in with jazz can also tune in with your music as well. Super important. Take that as far as you want. Like I said, my goal is to put this information in front of you, not to tell you how to strategize or plan. Some other ways you can pretty much collect data is utilizing Shazam. I know that's very popular. A lot of times when people find music that's unfamiliar to them and they never heard it before, they like, let me Shazam it. Also, I believe Apple has a contract with Shazam as well. You can literally use a shortcut from your Apple device and literally Shazam music now. Like, it's so easy to Shazam music. So definitely that would be a place where I would collect data for my artists and artists that I work with. I would definitely go to Shazam. Let's see. Also utilizing social media ads. Right? You got Meta ads, you got YouTube ads, you got Spotify ads. There's so many different forms of ads that are actually out here right now. One of the things that the ads do is they report data back to you. Super cool. Take advantage, right? All right, let's see. Set yourself up for success. I'm not going to read this, of course. I'm just going to give you the overall gist. I don't want to overcomplicate this. But one of the things that I had to learn coming up is that if you're not ready to take full advantage of your blessings or take full advantage of situations, then most likely they won't come your way, right? So you got to be set up for that, right? So for an example, let's say an artist want to get booked for shows, they want to be paid for shows, right? So they say, I want to get paid for a show. They find a party promoter, and that party promoter say, okay, invoice me and I'll pay you through the invoice. Now, if that artist isn't set up and that artist doesn't have a business bank account, that artist has no software that can actually send a proper invoice, if that artist does not have the proper structure around them, they are destined to pretty much fail. So I think it's super important that artists just look at the basics of what it is that they're doing and understand that being an artist is also being a part of music business, right? Understand all artists aren't music business experts, but if you're an artist, you're a part of that business now, especially if you seek to profit off of it, right? So be ready. That's all we saying. I don't know if you heard the saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's basically what this is telling you. Make sure your music is mixed. Make sure your music is mastered. Make sure you have a performance track. Make sure you have a radio edit of that track. Make sure you got your BMI. Make sure you have your distribution platform. Make sure you have all of these things and you're actually set up and ready to receive your blessings. Because who wants to get a blessing and then you can't maintain that blessing, right? So I think it's super important. You don't want to miss opportunities. And I just think it's super important that as an artist, you actually have a plan and don't just say, I'm going to drop music until something pop. Like, if that's your plan, by all means, that's your plan. I ain't telling you what to do, but I don't necessarily recommend, going into something and investing money into something and you're not figuring out ways to set up return on investment. So super important. One of the things you got to do being an artist is you have to understand that when you meet people, you got to make an impression on them, right? So you really have to make an impression on as many people as you can as you come into contact with them. Depending on how your hustle is set up, you might have flyers, you might have business cards, you might have a street team, you might have, you got to have some type of source where you can funnel people to. And it has to be something that works, right? It has to be something that gets you paid direct to consumer, or it has to be something you have to be able to promote something to people that gets you opportunities. So in saying that, when you're out and about, I think a lot of people sleep on like the street team aspect of it because we're in a digital world now. But I don't think that people necessarily realize that when you work a street team, other businesses who may see your street team, they may acknowledge that, oh, this guy is moving different. If I work with this guy, right? Because now you're setting yourself apart from other artists, right? But local companies and businesses, they're going to see this guy's parading around town, giving his business card out everywhere. Everybody's going to know who this guy is eventually. If you don't like his music, that's cool, but you're going to know who this guy is because he's making personable relationships. He's networking, he's hand in hand, he's promoting his business, he's passing out t-shirts, merchandise, flyers, whatever. He got his team with him. So it makes you attractive to other people that's getting money and other people who want to invest money, right? So now people see a different type of hustle around you and your team, and they're willing to invest into that. You know, you got to give people something to want to invest into. People don't want to invest into things that they feel like you're not going to go full throttle into, right? So that's what this is really about. Being able to go full throttle. We got to go full throttle. And saying that, people got to know who we are. I understand some artists don't like being on the spotlight. I'm also an introverted artist as well. But once you step into this game, you got to understand this is about being seen. This is about being heard, you know. And if you're a artist and you feel like you have something that can help people or heal people, then you need to get yourself out there. You got to suck it up, suck your feelings up, you know, because you have a higher purpose. You have something bigger that you're doing in this world, and people need to be able to hear your music. You need to be able to save lives, help people, heal people through that music. And in order to do that, you gotta get out in the community. You gotta do some type of community outreach. You got to do some type of networking. It just is what it is. The better you network, the more opportunities you get that come your way. The more paid opportunities. The more opportunities where as though other people trying to figure out how you got on that stage. Opportunities where people don't even know that you probably just left with a check or a stipend in some cases, you know, because they are out there. So it's really just all about hustle. You know, hustle, but hustle in the right way. You know, you got people in your circle, people on your team. Everybody want to come to the studio. They want to drink. They want to have a good time, dance, smoke, whatever it is that people indulge in to do. But those people need to also be willing to show up when it's time to get busy, when it's time to get active. Because if those people are not showing up for you, then you need to reevaluate how you're moving. How to get opportunities that you want. I hear artists day in, day out. I need money. I'm tired of spending money. I'm like, bro, I get that. What you have to understand as an artist is we all spending money. The videographer spending money. The DJ spending money. The marketing company spending money. The distribution platform spending money. Everybody's spending money, right? To some extent. What the goal should be is to go from spending money to investing money. So making smart decisions with your money. Anything that you invest into, you expect in return on, right? So now you got to look at your artistry a bit different. I know that is opportunities that you want. I know you seeing huge stages that's coming to your city, and they probably putting different people on it. And you probably seeing other local artists up on those stages, and you like, yo, how are these local artists getting these events? How are they getting on these stages? How are they getting in these rooms? Is you got to get an EPK, bro. You got to get an EPK, bro. Like, a lot of people, they sleep on the EPK. But what you got to understand is the EPK is your resume, bro. It's your job application, bro. You basically have the upper hand when it comes to an EPK because you have the opportunity to put whatever your successes are. You have the opportunity to put what makes you different. You have the opportunity to explain to people why they should pay you. And just like any other job, if it's phony, don't expect to get hired. Now, I do hear a lot of artists, they get a little concerned. You know, I work with artists. I even make EPKs for artists. And I've heard a lot of artists, they was a bit worried. They're like, bro, like, I feel like I don't have enough accomplishments for my EPK. And I'm just like, Well, you had to accomplish something in life. You got to be good at something. You have to have some type of skill. You had to do some type of show. If you didn't do a show, okay, that's fine. But you got to have something that's going to set you apart. We got to have something to talk about on this EPK. What is it that you do? What is it that you like to do? Do you like to stream? Do you like to, what type of platforms have you created for yourself and for other artists? What have you done for your community? What ways have you given back? Whether that's through music or not related to music, These are all things that you can include within your EPK. Who are you as an artist? People want to know, who are you? If I don't want to pay you based on the information on your resume, as far as like what shows you've already done or the data behind it, the only other thing that I can book you off of and be willing to pay you off of is your story. And that's what an EPK allows you to do. It allows you to combine your story with the data, with your successes, with your goal. This is your opportunity. Talk your stuff. You know what I mean? This is your opportunity. So EPKs, super important. A lot of huge stages, they require you to have some type of EPK. Use it. You got to use it. Like, I make EPKs all the time, but if you don't use it, it's not going to get you anywhere. You got to use these EPKs. You got to email them, send them out, let people know, update them. Let people know, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm an artist. This is my brand. This is what I support. I'm motivational. I feel like I should be able to collab with your clothing line. I got an idea. Pitch them ideas, whatever. But make yourself memorable. EPKs, I'm telling you, EPKs. Next thing is interviews. I see a lot of people do interviews. A lot of people are jumping into interviews, podcasting, and they don't have an understanding of like media training. A lot of times artists might get on a podcast. They might say some things that they may regret, or they may put themselves in situations where as though, it may create a bit more attention on them than they expected. It's super important to go into interviews already understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve out of this interview. And when you're in that interview, it's important that you open up for your supporters, your fans, of course, but you always redirect back to your goal. Why am I here? A lot of times, you may go on the show, you may go on interviews, some of these interviews, some of these podcasts, they messy. I hate to say it, but some of them are messy. Some unintentionally do it, some do it intentionally. It just is what it is. It's the media world. Everybody's looking for a viral moment, and you don't want to be a viral moment in the wrong way. So it's super important to just understand, always remind yourself during the interview, why am I here? What am I doing here? What am I supposed to be achieving? I always recommend that you use interviews to do two things. Funnel attention so you can get a bag off of it, or strengthen your relationships. So either you're going to be strengthening your relationship with that platform, strengthen it with your fans and your supporters, or you're going to be funneling the attention elsewhere. If you drop the album, you need to be talking about that album. Everything need to get redirected back to the album. Like, hey, I know you just asked me about my baby moms and all that, but look, I talk about the hardships of life in my album that I'm dropping. Like, that's how you got to hit them. You got to send them back to it. Like, hey, I'm sending you back to why I'm here, because this is why I'm here. And, you need to take advantage. Strengthen your relationships. Shout out to people that have been supporting you. Like the real supporters. Like, I'm not talking about your homeboys that's in the same hood as you. I'm talking about, shout out them DJs that been spinning your record. Shout out them guys, man. Shout out them videographers who put that little extra touch in your video, and that they ain't had to do that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out the people that's really moving you forward. Like, let's be real, man. Strengthen the real relationships of the people that's actually moving your music or your art forward. Like, that's just like, it's common sense, but I can get how a lot of the times you can get washed up in all the other noise. But you got to understand, you're running a business, and in your business, it has to have structure. Only way your business is actually going to have structure is really just, by you keeping your real ones close to you and you keeping everything tight. You got to run a tight ship. And these are just some of the services that we offer. My goal here is not to push any of these services on you, of course, but I would highly appreciate if you could just, just like this video, subscribe, share it to an artist who need to hear some of this information, who may be just starting off, or someone who's really trying to get an understanding on what their next step should be. We're always open to talking and having conversations and helping artists develop and grow. So just reach out to me whenever. My number is here, Instagram, all the information is here. But at the very least, just drop a comment, like, subscribe, show us some love and appreciation.